Alright, today we're going to talk about the Wizard of Oz. So it's basically two stories in one, similar to the Christ story. You know, you're dealing with Jesus representing the sun, the physical sun, how he goes around the 12 all year round through the 12 houses or 12 disciples or the man of the zodiac, and how he dies at the winter solstice and is reborn again around December 25th, because you know the sun sits still. That's what solstice means. It sits still for 3 days and then it starts to move like maybe a minute a day. That's why we deal with daylight saving times. The opposite of that would be the summer solstice around June 21st or whatever have you. So this story deals with sovereignty and also the physical body. So two separate stories. So I'm going to jump around a lot. I'm not going to go in order with the story or both stories. So just going to take notes. So one of the first things I told you to do with any story, if you want to decode it, is to decode the names of the characters. So the first thing you will notice that Henry means voltage, or in other words, electricity. Emily means rival, so she's the rival of Henry. So what's the rival of electricity? Magnetism. That's why you know they never call her Emily, they call her Aunt M in the story. So it's magnetism or M, because M is the rival of Henry, which is electricity. Remember, we are electromagnetic beings. So it's the same story in the Bible. You have Emmanuel, which is Jesus, and then you have his better half, which is Mary Magdalene. That's why her name was Magdalene, because of the magnetism. Same story. I can't make this stuff up. Alright, so what you're dealing with the Kabbalah tree of life, of course. So you're dealing with the right side of the brain, or Yakin, and then you're dealing with the left side, or Boaz. So the right side is radiation, male, positive. The left side is gravity, female, or negative. Dark, light, electric, magnetic. You know, so remember, you're dealing with light and dark as in day, because the whole story is about balancing those two lights. Just the same thing as the story in Star Wars. You want to balance the force, the light and the dark, but you have to go through your father, which is Darth Vader. Alright? So the whole story is about Dorothy being swept away through a tornado. The tornado represents that Kundalini energy, that energy at the base of your spine. Remember, on the medical logo, you got those two snakes going side to side in opposite directions. So they're not really zigzagging. That's just a 2D surface. If you were to see it in 3D and look at it from the top and bottom, they're really going up in a spiral, but they're going up in separate directions. So if you look at it from the top on down, it's going to look like a tornado. So that's what the tornado represents, Kundalini. If you don't know what that is, just Google Kundalini. Alright. So another name you want to decode is Dorothy. The name Dorothy means God's gift. Her last name is Gale, which represents wind or the Holy Spirit. So the gift of God was the Holy Spirit in us, because we're divine beings, and that spark that's in us is the only thing that's left that's going to remind us of that. So because you know, a lot of us identify with our physical or our ego. So I'll get to the ego, because that's what the Tin Man and the Scarecrow and Lion represent. On one level is the ego. All right. So like I told you, in every hero story, the hero is never raised by their biological parents. Either the father is dying, the father is dead, or they're in another realm, or they're being raised by some relatives. So you know, you got Jesus has his earthly father, and then you got his father, which is in heaven. Same thing with Superman. You got Peter Parker or Spider-Man being raised by his auntie and uncle. So it's the same thing. You got Horus or Haru. His father is dead, which is Osiris, or in the underworld, which is your subconscious. Alright? So same story here. You're dealing with Uncle Henry and Auntie M. Dorothy is raised by them. So basically just saying that we're basically electromagnetic. We're under our uncle, under the restraints of our uncle and our auntie, but we also have this Holy Spirit in us, that gale force wind, which is a gift from God, which is the name Dorothy. Alright? Just like I told you in the story, anytime they use a story and they use Kansas, they're referring to Sirius. Sirius is the central sun or celestial thing in the sky to the universe. Kansas is the central state of the United States of America. If you Google Lebanon, Kansas, they're going to tell you it's pretty much the center of USA. Sirius is known as the dog star. So if you look at the Sirius logo, it's always a dog with a star in it as an eye. Alright? Toto represents that dog, or Anubis. Anubis is the guide dog of the underworld. So I just told you the underworld could either represent your subconscious mind in these allegories, or just basically earth sometimes. So hell in these stories is not under the earth or some bad place. It's actually earth. We're living in hell, this physical world. We're trapped in our body. So hell can be your physical body, this physical earth, or your subconscious mind. All right. And when it comes to Kabbalah Tree of Life, we're dealing with Sephirah 10. All right. So when he's saying in the story about there's no place like home, click your heels 3 times. What we're dealing with is these first 3 Sephirah. So this is the only real part of us. So if you look at my Inception video and all my Kabbalah videos, you'll know that we're in an illusion. We're on this 3rd level of the dream. So we're trying to move up, and get to the real part. Alright, so this is home. This is why they said click your heels 3 times. For 1, 2, and 3 to get back home up here. Alright. Another thing with Anubis, that's how they, if you look at the Anubis, it's like a jackal-headed or a wolf or dog-headed deity. Basically, you do your own research on Anubis, but I just want to point out that's where the Batman character actually came from. Batman with those 2 pointed things. Basically, he just representing Anubis. It's always that's why the whole story is about him being falling into a cave and so on and so forth. So just another version of Anubis. That's what Batman is. All right. Okay, so one of the things this story is telling us is a sovereignty story. So you're dealing with the yellow brick road. What's the yellow brick road represent? Gold. So remember when money was backed by gold, it's no longer backed by gold. So that's why they on their way to the Emerald City following the yellow brick road. Emerald means green. So we're dealing with green money that's no longer backed by what? The yellow brick road. So they're basically they made it into a road. It's not even important anymore. Gold is still important. I'm just making a point. Alright, so this story is about money and how the government has taken over and got us buying into the fact that money isn't and it's, got us believing money is worth something. It's really not worth anything anymore. So that comes in with the 3 other stars of the story. So the Tin Man or the T.I.N man is actually your tax identification number, better known as your social security number. Your Scarecrow is actually your straw man. When you were born and your parents signed that birth certificate, you basically, they signed you over to the government, and the government has been trading you on the New York Stock Exchange. So that straw man is basically a corporation with your name in all capital letters. So if you're not familiar with that, do your own research on straw man and you'll know what I'm talking about. The lion or cowardly lion is basically the fact that we're afraid to basically assert ourselves and become sovereign. We want to worship this government or this government called Oz, and the wizard, this fake. He can also represent a fake god, or the government itself. That's who the Wizard of Oz really is. But the lion could either be the tribe of Judah, or I like to say is representative of Elyon. Because remember, you can interchange L with an EL or LE. An I can be a Y or a J. That's where you get Yeshua turns into Jesus. The ON stays the same. So lion is the same as Elyon, which is the Hebrew word for the Most High God. But if you look at my other video, El is mistranslated as the word God. The Canaanites call God El, but El really means light or power. So what we're dealing with is we're really scared to remember our birthright. We really had that spark. I mean, we had a gale force wind in us. God's gift to us is the fact that we're divine gods and goddesses trapped in this physical world, but we've forgotten it. We are really the Most High, because this is our home. This is where we're from, and this is who we are. We're basically fragments of the one true God. All right. The wizard plays the false god in this whole story. You go into the wizard, and he can't even really grant you anything. Because I told you, money is not even backed by anything. Because in the story, he appears as a flaming head. So what he's trying to represent is an illuminated pineal gland, or a false. He's basically a false god. He has no power and no light. So all he did was appease these 3. So in other version of the story, these represent the parts of the ego. So your ego wants to be told that you're smart. Wants to be told that you're brave. What's the other one with your heart? Wants to be told that you're loved. So some people need to be told that we love. Why can't you just know you're loved by God? So we need these awards. We need diplomas, and I think medals. That's what the wizard basically. We need our ego appeased. So that's the physical part of us that's trapped in here that we identify. So that's all this. This is what Freud talked about when he called it the id, the ego and the superego. So we identify. We think this is our identity, this physical body or this ego of ours. The id. The word identity means id, entity. So if you want to look up Freud and what id is and how he breaks it down, it's just basically different aspects of the ego. So these 3 represent not only your sovereignty, and who you really are, which is the Most High God. And so you need to stop worshiping this false government or even these false gods that you're worshiping, and get rid of these the straw man, and stop paying all that stuff. Blah blah blah. So do your own research. Okay, so now we also dealing with a physical story with the 7 colors. So it's all about those red, ruby red slippers. So red is the root chakra, which is that keeps you grounded. So we're trying to be grounded at the same time, go straight up and down this middle pole. Not dealing with the east and west witch. We only dealing with us. Dorothy is actually the south witch, and Gilda, the north witch, or the good witch, is from the north, so the top. So I told you the North Pole represents Santa Claus, come from the North Pole. That's why Santa was red, because he dropped down to the base of your skull to give you, your spine to give you gifts. So we dealing with this pole again, which is represented in the story. The wizard all along wanted this broom. The broom is the spine, but in the story, the broom got burnt or charred, because what happened is they tried to raise up that energy. It's the same story as the Santa Claus story. If you wake up too soon, you get ashes in your eyes and lumps of coal in your stocking. What is ash? Residue from a burnt out fire. So your head is not really illuminated. You didn't do the work. So the broom burnt up. Your spine is burnt up. Now you got to try it again. You got to keep that fire going. It got to stay lit all the way up until it lights up that pineal gland. Until you just get that glow and you become a light being again. Alright? So that's what the ruby red slippers represented. Throughout the whole story, she was in a blue dress, a light blue dress. That light blue is the 5th chakra. So look up chakras on Wikipedia. It represents the throat chakra. So what's the throat chakra on the Kabbalah Tree of Life? The throat lines up with that hidden Sephiroth, or Darth Vader in the Star Wars story. So this is your voice. That's what your throat is about. That's why in the Superman story, his soul name was Kal-El, or the voice of God. So Dorothy was the voice of these 3 entities. She spoke up for them and everything. So that's why she wore blue through the whole story. So let's tell us a little bit more about the 5th chakra. So that hidden Sephiroth, number 11, that gateway chakra, is Daf. So you can do more on that by looking at my Kabbalah videos. So it lines up with the endocrine. So each chakra lines up with an endocrine gland. In this particular chakra, the 5th one lines up with the thyroid gland. So that regulates growth and maturity. So you're basically dealing with communication and growth through expression. That's what Dorothy is. So this chakra, emotionally, which deals with the heart, governs independence. Mentally, which deals with the brain, governs fluent thought. Spiritually, which has to do with courage, governs sense of security. So we're dealing with those 3 entities again, that ego part of us who need independence, free thought, and a sense of security. So that's what this false god and false government gives us with this social security number and these birth certificates and so on and so forth. All right. So that's the sovereignty story. The physical story I'm touching on already about the electromagnetism, the Yakin and Boaz, that's in every story. The Emmanuel, which is Jesus, and the Mary Magdalene, which is magnetism. So electricity and magnetism. So we balancing that electromagnetism in us, that male and female. All right, we're not talking about gender. So all women, all females have masculine and feminine aspects. They got to balance, same as males. All right. I talked about Toto because at some point in the story, Toto and Dorothy got trapped, but Toto got free. She's the one that exposed the wizard for what he was, because this is his domain, this underworld where they dropped into color. Because the story starts off in black and white, and then they go into technicolor in the movie, or the chakras, or if you will, because you drop into a body and you trapped with those 7 colors, and or those 7 double letters of the Hebrew alphabet, and the 12 single letters, and then that Trinity is what you're trying to get back to, those 3 mother letters. So look at my Hebrew alphabet video also. So all this stuff tie in. You're going to have to watch all the videos. I try to make them short, and I try to make sure I don't miss anything, and I think I pretty much covered everything. Yep. And yep, I think that's it. So go ahead and do your own research on Anubis. You really want to learn that. Some more stories on Sirius. Look up the 5th chakra, all the chakras, learn that. You definitely want to look up Straw Man and so on and so. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed, and thank you.